Welcome to this video, guys. In this video we're going to talk about how to do a haircut that suits someone's face and make them look their best. So we're going to start by looking and analyzing the before picture. I'll tell you my approach and my plan, and then in the process I'll tell you what am I doing, why am I doing it, and then we'll see the end result. If you look at this before picture, you'll notice there is a lot of roundness, there is a lot of curves, there is a lot of bulk. There is no definition, there is no sharp angles or sharp lines. All these curves in wrong places, we're gonna take them out. We're gonna slim his face down by removing the bulk and flattening it from side of his head and his face. But we're gonna preserve that same bulk in the right areas. So we're gonna remove it but shift it to the jaw area and the ridge. Ridge is the part that you're seeing on top of the fade. And you don't have to be highly experienced or skilled. You can definitely pull this off if you pay attention to the nuances and the details in this video. Now we're gonna move on to the tutorial part. I like to wet the hair before I start sectioning it because it gives me a lot more control and precision. Sectioning deserves a video of its own, but I basically just comb the hair forward and try to find the least resistant path to the corner of the forehead. And to keep the symmetry, I try to do the same angle and the same line on the other side. Now it's neat and ready, and we're gonna start with number 2 guard with lever open that makes it 2.5, and we're gonna create a ridge. As I explained, ridge is the area that is on top of the fade. Usually I use a comb to hold the hair down like that, but just so it doesn't obscure your view, I will show you the technique with the front on angle in a minute. For now, let's look at the angle and the precision of the ridge. So I'm doing it just like another guideline, so it's very committed and precise. There is no randomness about it. You must have noticed it curves to the back like a banana. It's because we're trying to do a wider ridge. We're doing it wider because it needs to be parallel or slightly wider than the widest part of his face, which is his cheekbone. Also, if the hair is a bit long on top, you also need to drop it to compensate for that. This is the front on angle, and you can see my ridge is not perfect because I didn't use the comb. I'm gonna quickly show you the comb techniques, so how I would hold the hair down and make passes just like that, and that'll give me a perfect ridge. It's also perfectly placed from the front on angle. It matches the widest part of his face. It's slightly even wider. It gives his face a perfect shape. It doesn't make him look like one of those melon heads and pineapple shaped haircuts that we see all the time. And that's basically what makes the difference, you know. Next part is the fade. So if you're not interested in it, use the timestamp because it can go on for a while. Okay, the first thing I do is cut a bald guideline. So this bald guideline pretty much follows the same shape as the ridge. So it starts there and it sort of dips down at the back. It sometimes dips even more because if you look at the front area, there's not that much hair there. There's not much to fade. And the back has a lot more hair and it's a lot thicker too. So you need that extra dip to give yourself enough space to work with it. So I will follow the ridge line exactly and dip it towards the back even more. Few other things to keep in mind: that you want to release the pressure as you go up and you want to use minimal pressure to begin with. Also, your blade should be facing the line exactly. That should be premeditated. No random strokes, follow the system and release the pressure even more when you get close to the line. And you can perfect the line later, and also you can clean up underneath, but try to do everything with minimal strokes. Next step is the foiler. Same thing, you release as you go up. Your blade is facing the line exactly. It's purposeful, it's deliberate. Even with the foiler, you have to release the pressure as you get close to the line. And around the ear area and the front part, you can stretch the skin, foil it underneath it a little bit, but you don't really need to do too much there because the front area has less hair and it's also a bit thin. It can always get over faded. So be careful about that as well. If you can see, I've already done that half guideline, but I'll show you one more time. So basically it's 2 centimeters of going up from the bald guideline. You can use a bit of extra pressure in this case and release as you go up because this guy has really thick hair. So I have to be really aggressive with it. I have to use a little bit extra pressure, which is usually not the case. Even with this guide, if you notice, it goes darker as you go up, so it's easier to fade. Now we're gonna move on to the 1.5 guard. So it's the 1 guard. We're gonna pull the lever back, that makes it 1.5. Same thing again, we're gonna follow the ridge line exactly. We're gonna keep it a bit slimmer in the front and we're gonna make it wider as we go towards the back. Unique thing about this specific guideline is that even with lighter hair, you'll have to make a lot more passes and make sure that you use decent amount of pressure and release it as you go up. So when you're trying to fade them, it's not too hard for you. So if you look at it now, I'm just releasing it as I go up, but I'm using a little bit extra pressure at the bottom of the guideline. Alright, so now is the 1.5 guard and the lever is closed. But this is not a guideline. I'm just trying to flick the last guideline straight into the ridge. So I wouldn't call it a guideline because I'm not looking to create any guide. I'm just trying to finish this part straight into the ridge so I don't have to blend anything after. It might not happen, but that's the intention here. Alright, we have all the guides now. All we have to do is fade it in. So we're just gonna start from the bottom. I'm using a trimmer or a liner, which is a 00, and I'm only going in about millimeter or 2. And it's very light pressure, and I'm using a flicking technique so I don't overdo it. And for this part, the most important thing to remember is not overdoing it. So don't go too high and don't use too much pressure. It's also worth mentioning that be extra careful with the front area because people tend to overfade the front. Now we're gonna pick up our fade clipper and with the closed lever I'm gonna flick it another millimeter or 2. Again, light pressure, very careful flicking. I'm not trying to create anything new, and I'm gonna open the lever halfway and flick it another millimeter or 2. I'm completely controlling it, and if there is a dark patch, I will probably use a little bit more pressure, but you gotta be really careful with that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna open the lever even more if I'm going closer to the guideline. Main thing is not to overfade it and not create new guidelines so we don't have to take the whole fade higher than we want to. That's looking pretty good, and we're gonna move on to the next guard now, and we're using the half guard with the lever closed. For the thinner hair or light colored hair, you can open the lever even quarter way for this part as well. But obviously for thick hair, I'll have to leave the lever closed, and the guy is yawning. He seems to be pretty comfortable. So I'm gonna flick it about 2 to 3 millimeters and then open the lever halfway. Now the lever is open halfway, and flick it another millimeter or 2 and then open the lever fully, and that will be my final strokes. I just opened the lever fully and now I'm just finishing it. So I'm just finishing it straight into the ridge area. I'm also gonna use the corners of my clipper to like get rid of any bulk or perfect the line a bit. It's just, you know, looking for imperfections. And now I'm gonna use a scissor to perfect the sides so the ridge is perfectly polished. So if you're looking front on or side on, there is nothing sticking out. And also like it's sort of detailing, like you're looking for imperfection, something that doesn't look, that the line doesn't flow right, or if there is bulk somewhere, you can take it out. This is probably a bit advanced for most people, but I use thinning scissor and the regular scissor into the fade as well and just get some perfection in there that way. But that's probably for another video. So if you can see that I've perfected it a bit more. And now we're gonna move on to the beard. As you can see, I'm using the trimmer again for the first guide. I'm using it upside down with a very soft hand, and I'm gonna release the pressure even more towards the hand. This guide will stop just before the widest point of the face, which is usually the cheekbone. To blend it into the skin fade on top, we're gonna just do a little foiling there, and then we're gonna move on to a second, one of the most important guideline, which is 0.5, and that'll start on the widest point of the face and sit just under it. As it's a thick beard, I'm gonna go a good inch in there with that guideline. After that, there is one guard with lever open, makes it 1.5, another inch I'd say. You can see it sits just on top of the lip and under the ear, and that was our fade area. And in the next guide, which is 1.5, we're gonna change our approach a bit. So now we don't want to dig into the face, we want to stay parallel to it, but we don't want to round in from this point. Reason for preserving this bulk is we want to keep that jaw heavy. We want to keep it bulky. Now we gone to the final number 2 guard. You can open the lever or close it, it doesn't matter. It depends on the length. So I'm going with the closed, and it's a final guard. I'm just flicking it in, and I'm also gonna be working with the grain to flatten the face, preserving that dark jaw area. That's very important, as you can see in the picture. Now we're gonna fade that in. It's not really a fade video, but I'm just gonna show you my technique. So I'm going with my fading clipper with the lever fully closed. I'm using the corners, going on 45-degree angle, just flicking it in. I'm also probably adjusting the lever a tiny bit as I'm going. And the next one is gonna be 0.5 guard, the half guard, same technique, corners, 45-degree angle, coming from both sides and just flicking it in, adjusting the lever every now and again, and that should be it. But if it doesn't look perfect for you, you can take 1 guard, 1.5 guard, and blend it a bit more, do whatever it takes, but it's looking good for me. So I'm gonna move on to the line. So for line, I actually don't care about the perfection of the line in terms of how dark or how perfect the line itself is. For me, the most important thing is the placement. It's because I'm worried about the face shape. So I always go for a straight line that is straight from corner of the lip onto top of the ear. And you can use a comb for a guideline and make a line that way, but most of you will be able to do it without it, I'm sure. Now back of the face line, I like it to come out a bit, but not as much as this guy's natural one is. So I'm gonna just sort of straighten it out, have it come out tiny bit, and I'm gonna do the mustache. Sorry, my hand is obscuring your view, but basically I'm just touching it. There's not much to do in his mustache. I like the mustache to be bit wider in the middle and slim from the sides and the corners. Now with the hairline, I try to stay as close to the natural as much possible, but I also want it to look square, not rounded, square from front on angle. So it has to look like it's square from front on. I don't like overdoing it or making it unnatural looking, but I also don't leave it rounder or hexagon looking either. So there's like a middle ground somewhere. And now I'm doing a dry razor on him just because he didn't have a lot of hair to work with. When he came in, it was rounded in and I only had a little bit of stubble to work with. Otherwise, I would have used shaving gel. Normally it's not the right order, but I would have done it as I was doing the fade, but I'm just finishing off the front area. If you remember, we used the 2 guard in the end. We're using the same guard, matching the sides to the front. Basically flattening the surface, going upwards or downwards. We're just not digging in, we just flattening the beard parallel to the face. Finally, to do the bottom line, we're gonna follow the top line exactly. Now it's exactly gonna be parallel to the top line, and if you can see, it almost connects to the longest part of the beard as well. And it seems so simple, but I think it's one of the best shapes for the beard you can do, and it helps a lot with shaping the face and slimming it down and making it look a lot more masculine. I'm using the clipper to give it a basic shape. I'll go back with the trimmer to perfect it and get the lines right. It's a lot of hair to get through, so I think it's a good idea to go with the clipper first. And of course we're gonna match it on the other side and connect it from the front on angle and double check it. You can go do some detailing with the scissor or whatever you need to do. I have to do his mustache as well. It's a very specific type of mustache. You don't really need to learn that. Well, if you do want to learn how to do this mustache or styling or anything like that, then you should subscribe my channel and leave a comment underneath what kind of video you'd like to see next. If enough people want it, I'll do a mustache video. It'll be pretty quick and easy. I'm using my own serum and cologne on him. It's a properly formulated product designed specifically for beards. It's amazingly non-greasy and doesn't have any residue. The scent is also designed to smell good in the beard, not just in the bottle. It wears beautifully throughout the day. I'll leave a link in the description for our website. You can check out more products and find out more about this product if you want to. Now I'll leave you to check out this before and after. I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for watching.